What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Librarians of Solana podcast. My name is T, and I am one of the librarians here in Solana. Today, I am joined by Tommy Fresh from the Fresh and Buds podcast. Tommy, how are you doing?
Doing well, man. Thank you for having me on. I'm glad we got this going.
Absolutely. Glad to have you here. We've got a couple exciting things to talk about today, and then we'll go over some ProQuest results. There's no super exciting news in general about upcoming events, but like I said, we're in the middle of ProQuest season, so there's some data to talk about and some results from ourselves, right? So,
oh yeah, I don't know if we want to talk about mine.
Mine didn't go so hot either for the first weekend. I decided to do some goofy stuff, and it was just that. It was goofy stuff, but
Amen. Yeah, same.
there is some news. It's not really new event related, but we do have confirmation now that the calling in Indianapolis at SCGCon is going to have coverage. This is the calling for the weekend of March 18th through 20th at SCGCon Indianapolis. We know that so far Tane and Grace is confirmed to be doing coverage, and probably 3 to 5 other people that they'll swap on for the event. But it's interesting that this event, hosted by a company primarily doing Magic, with the calling alongside of it, is going to have coverage for the Flesh and Blood, but not the Magic. Probably because LSS pushes for their coverage to help grow the game. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it is a shame that Magic isn't doing any coverage while Flesh and Blood would be doing it the same weekend in Indy. But you know what? LSS really kind of puts their money where their mouth is. I love that they are so committed to having this coverage. I think it's great for the game. They got Tannen on, who's absolute pro. I think it's going to be great, and it is a shame for all the Magic fans out there. But hopefully, they kind of tune into the Flesh and Blood stuff, and that'll be fun.
Yeah, I think it's exciting to watch card games and watch them grow. I haven't even been a part of Flesh and Blood since the conception of the game. I've just been around since about Unlimited Monarch. How long have you been playing?
About the same. I guess July of 2021 is when I kind of really started picking up the game. I picked up the Blitz decks from Monarch, and it's kind of been just a snowball ever since. It's been amazing. So. Yeah,
it sounds like we've got a pretty similar story, because that's about exactly what I did. I wandered into a Magic shop to play a Thursday night Magic event, and one of my friends took their prizes in Flesh and Blood packs because they love wacky new card games, and so we just bought some Blitz decks and hit it off from there. What were the Blitz decks you bought?
I actually, I started with, I think I started with the Chain and Bolton ones, and then I ended up buying the Levia and Prism ones, which kind of playing with those. That's when my hate for Prism started, because I was like, wow, this Blitz deck sucks. And obviously I didn't know at the time that the CC version was actually very good, but it's where I guess as a Magic player myself, coming from that side of things, when I played Chain, I was like, oh, this is like kind of like Dredge or something like that. Yeah. And I was like, I'm into this, and like this is kind of where I can see myself playing a deck, and at the time I didn't know how busted the CC version was with the Seeds of Agony and all that.
Oh yeah.
So I went all in on that deck, and shortly after Seeds was banned, so it was what it was. I actually agreed with the ban, but for a hot second there, I was like, oh no, I spent so much money on those cards.
My first deck, why? Please no, LSS, why?
Yeah. It was something else, man. And honestly, kind of, and we'll probably talk about it later, but right now my favorite hero is Levia. But that really came out of me looking down at my Chain cards after that Seeds of Agony ban, and I was like, I still want to play with Carrion Husk, so let's go. And Levia has been my favorite. Unfortunately, not so hot right now, but yeah.
The two that I started with, me and my friend started with, were Bolton and Levia, and I just looked over and saw they're actually sitting right here. I still have the precons put together in one deck box, because we used to just like bring it to events and play. But yeah.
Yeah.
Very similar story with just starting off with some blitz precons and then getting into constructed. Chain was my first full build deck too, because me and my friend were just
Yes.
watching coverage, and he goes, "Man, this Katsu thing's really cool." And I played the chain list, and we were watching the finals where Winton Bedford won with Katsu, and he's like, "Oh, well, I'll just wreck you every time." Uh, we'll figure that one out later.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, it is interesting. Funny enough, looking back on those blitz decks from Monarch, I actually don't think they are as beginner friendly as maybe something like the Tales of Aria ones that came out, which maybe speaks more to Flesh and Blood as a game, that like the more complicated, like light and dark, like light and shadow stuff was like didn't really, it's not like the rest of the game, but like it really hooked people. Um or at least it did for us, it sounds like, and I think a lot of other people, because that's when the OP announcement kind of came out, is when I picked it up. And yeah, yeah. I mean, I think those blitz decks are a great way to, a great product to have alongside these major set releases.
Yeah, we do have like product announcements for what the rest of the year looks like. And they said that there's going to be one set or one product that isn't a supplementary set, not a main set. What do you think something like that would be? Do you think it's going to be another round of like maybe a classic constructed precon deck, or maybe it'll be something geared towards UPF?
Well, I actually, so my theories are, and I think these are shared by quite a few people, that it's going to be some kind of form of like the duels of the planeswalker kind of thing that we used to have in Magic, right? When they had like the two planeswalkers and a deck for each of them. I feel like we'll get that for some heroes,
Sure,
like
I can
one
see that.
box, and I think it'd be a great way to actually start reprinting things like Command and Conquer and Light and Strike, in even Art of War, stuff like that. The generic stuff that it's just kind of tough to like reprint in a full set. I feel like, I think because it feels like they're a little too expensive. So whatever. That's neither here nor there. But that's what I think it's going to be, and I think it's going to give them a nice opportunity to kind of explore the lore of the game um, within those heroes, and kind of like outside of just the lore book. The two heroes kind of fighting, kind of like a box set that you can get, where you get the decks, you can play with friends, but also like there's a whole story behind it. I think that's that'd be smart in my opinion.
Yeah, I like that. Like a zone war type thing. You could just get
Hmm.
heroes that are from specific areas versus a hero from another area, and you put these deck hero versus hero deck products out. I like that. I think that's a good idea, and you can reprint some of your staples that way too. I like that.
Yeah, and actually, it would be a good opportunity to kind of even have like a paper insert of a playmat with the zones, um, because a lot of people, like, you would have thought that would have been something, and maybe it came with the Ira deck, but I never had the chance to buy that. Um, Something good for new players. I think that's the most important thing right now, is to kind of grow the game through new players, and not in a way that is going to deter them, especially with like all the competitiveness going on right now. So you got to give players the kind of rocket on the tabletop, like the kitchen table. So
Yeah, it's that Yu-Gi-Oh concept, because like all the Yu-Gi-Oh intro decks come with that paper mat, helps you learn the game a little bit easier, and then it's got the rule book and stuff so that you can get more in depth or figure out the things that you and your kitchen table friend might not know, but you've got the answers there with it. And I like that because that's new player friendly. Gets more people into the game. More people maybe get competitive. More people maybe stay more casual. But either way you cut it, you get more people in the game, and that's a great way to make sure that the game has longevity.
yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about our ProQuest results from this weekend. Did you play in one or two events last?
I played in one event. I did play in the Battle Hardened in Philadelphia the week before, which in that event I ran Raiden Bolton. Really cool aggro list. Started off hot with the 2-0, and then I started running into the Starvos, and
Uh-oh.
and the deck just wasn't really tuned to kind of handle Starvo. And we'll probably get into that, but I don't think many decks are. And it was a lot of fun. But I think I lost to 2 Starvers in a row and then an Oldhim, which Frostbite's against an aggro deck.
And yeah, against any aggro strategy that wants to maximize resources, you're just like, all right, guess I'll die.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. But I went to the 2-3 drop, and then I went to go watch the Super Bowl. But I know the guy who got second with Chain. He plays in my LGS up in Boonton, New Jersey.
Nice, heck yeah.
And yeah, and he's a really great player. But I did play in Hoboken over the weekend, because I heard about this Leviah deck that's not really running Blood Debt, and it's like a club Leviah, so you play like the Romping Club, and it's like more control-y.
One
And
of my locals lost to somebody doing that at Philadelphia because of the
I bet
defense
it was-
reaction.
yeah, I bet it was honestly from the guy who built it, Man Sant, who does YouTube content for Leviah, which I mean he went 4-2 at the Battle Hardened in Philadelphia, which I was like and I was watching his deck tech and all that. And I'm like, God, this seems like maybe I can like stick it to Starvo a little bit. But honestly, I had built it, like I had busy week with work and stuff like that. I just didn't have a chance to really test it. I do think the deck is good, but I just didn't get enough reps in. I performed very poorly with it at Hoboken over the weekend, but I honestly just kept playing because I gotta practice with this deck, because if I decide, because I have 2 more pro quests coming up plus going to SCG Indy.
Sure.
So I was like, hey, I don't know if I'm gonna play that deck, but
But it's on the table, so you got to get the reps in case you want to pick it up off the table and put it in your backpack.
For sure. And it was not good, man. It was definitely not good. I think my only win was a bye. But I did get to see some good friends there and hang out with them, so there's that.
Heck yeah. I went to 2 this past weekend. I played in one that was a couple hours away, and I won round 2. It was a mirror. I was playing Agrovis, and then rounds 2 and 3 I lost to each edition of Bravo, Old Bravo and New Bravo.
Oh wow.
Round 4 I took down another aggro mirror, but the rest of my car was 1 and 3, so we were all dead for top 8. And I was like, "Do you guys just want to go home?" And we all decided that it was better to just go home. So we got home at like 8 o'clock instead of 1 in the morning if we stayed it out, because we had another one the next morning that started at 10 a.m. So we were like, let's just go home, get some sleep, try to do better tomorrow. And then the next day, I ended up going. It was 6 rounds. I went 3 and 3, so not much better. But like I said, I played some weird decks. Day 2, I played Bravo Showstopper, and that one was interesting. I think that deck's got some potential because it does really good against New Bravo. Interestingly enough, you just get to apply a bunch of pressure.
Yeah, and well, that was kind of the thing with Leviah, Club Leviah or whatever. You want to pummel Starvo, and I don't know if the Showstopper was pummeling much, but it seems like pummel's really good against Starvo.
Yeah, I think there's some potential with some Oldhim builds maybe to do the same thing. Just try to freeze out the aggro decks and then use pummel strategies against Starvo. There was 2 events in St. Louis, Missouri, which is where I'm from, this past weekend, and that's where the rest of my team is, SEAL Team Lotus. And both of those events, this guy came in on Oldhim. He drove like 6.5 hours from Nebraska to go to the event. He got second in the first one and then won the second one. So he killed it with this pummel Oldhim list. So it seems like it's got some legs. Definitely something to look out for.
Sounds like it's got some juice. I will tell you the most surprising thing. Well, there was nobody on Oldhim in Hoboken this weekend.
Okay.
Not that I saw. There maybe was one. It was a 39-person tournament. I don't think I saw a single chain, which was really interesting.
No chain?
I saw quite a few Viscerais. Lost Starvo, one Leviah, some dashes here and there, one Kano, some Lexis, but if there was a chain, I didn't see them.
That's shocking, especially with the deck guide that Tark just put out like a couple days before. Wow. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
there's some people scared of swapping over to a new deck right before it starts, right?
And that's kind of what I thought as well, because I still have all the chain cards. They're like sitting right here in front of me, and I'm like looking at that Tark list, and I'm like, it's been a while. I don't know those lines anymore. I don't, I'm gonna have
Hello,
to
old
relearn this
friend.
deck. Yeah, I was like, he put it out like Wednesday or Thursday or something like that, and I was like, I do not have enough time to learn this deck again. So
Fair.
that might have been it. That really might have been it. So, but I know that we saw some chain around the world though, in some of these events.
Yeah, heck yeah. Yeah, there's been a lot of chain around, and then he actually won the ProQuest he played in with that chain list. He just Babe Ruthed it, pointed that way, and hit the ball. So
Yeah, he's playing on a different level. I think. I think it's safe to say Tark is playing
playing
on a little
40
bit different
chess,
level.
yeah.
Yeah. So, it is what it is. He's one of the best, if not the best. So,
If you're a great player, it doesn't matter. You're like, here's my sideboard guide, whatever. Try to kill me.
yeah,
Play in
exactly.
handicap mode. Here's exactly what I'm doing against you. Can you figure out how to beat it anyway? The answer was no.
Actually, I do want to give a shout out to Tark, because I know that in the community, especially in the competitive community, and especially since he started doing content like for Channel Fireball, there was complaints that like, oh, it's like nobody's sharing their deck list, nobody's like, everybody's so secretive, but and he was fully transparent this week. I thought that was really cool. I think that's pretty important for the competitive side of things, that we have content creators, like pro level content creators, putting out like stuff they can stand behind, which is cool.
Yeah,
to see.
absolutely. One big concern among, like, when I was doing Magic is that you see all these content creators putting out the here's what I would play articles, and then it's like
Mhm.
5 different decks. It's like, obviously you're not going to
Yeah.
bring 5 different decks to a tournament. Which one would you really play? And so a lot of content creators are just like, here's a powerful deck, here's a powerful deck, but not often do you see people go, this is the list I'm playing, this is my sideboard guide, it's all public, it's all free, here it is, out in the open.
And then with the cherry on top, and then I won with it.
Yeah.
So,
Backing
take it with
it
a
up.
grain of salt. He's an amazing player. Like, it's like, don't expect to pick up that deck and just win ProQuest, but
Sure.
with practice, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, he gave you everything you needed to practice it too. He's like, here's your matchup guide, here's how do you sideboard, take things out, everything. So you have the tools in front of you to just pick it up and play a bunch of games. And if you play enough games and get those reps and see those lines, you have the power to take one down as well. So it's really cool to see something like that come out from a top level player, if not the best. Yeah, absolutely.
That's in the US, right? He has to be.
It
right?
has to be uncontested.
Yeah. The defending champ, he is. So,
So you said you had a couple more ProQuests coming up this season. Are you doing anything this coming weekend here in 2 days?
yeah. So my LGS Highlander Games up in Boonton, New Jersey, is having their ProQuest on Saturday. So I'll be up at that. We have some great players who play there. It's arguably the most competitive LGS in the area. And then there's me, but we have. I mean, Mike Fang plays there. Craig Krempels plays there. We have a lot of great players.
Sure.
And 2 of them won a ProQuest. One of them won in Hoboken, the other one won in Philly on Saturday. So they're out there, and I know they're all testing together. So that one's going to be nice and vicious. I feel like, because this is like the home turf. It's like, it feels like you got to win this home game, or else
Yeah.
like,
What are you going to do if you
for?
don't? Yeah. My home turf one is Saturday too. I'm playing the Star City Games one here in Roanoke this Saturday.
Nice.
So we both have our home turf showdowns this weekend. We got to represent. Got to do it.
Absolutely. And I'm like, it's so bad. I don't even know what I'm going to play right now. I'm between 3 decks, so it's yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Mine's not much better. I'm between 2 decks right now, and it's like, man, I don't know what to play. I'm between playing just like a spicy version of Brostar, or playing something Oldham Spice with that pummel strategy to take down Brostar. Both of them just kind of crumble to Prism though. I don't know.
Yeah, that's tough, and there's a lot of Prism running around. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I kind of like. I mean, if I were if I were you, I think I would go with the Oldham. I think it's not what people are expecting. So, and I think that's always a better way to go into a tournament. Personally, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to play the deck that has the targets on its back. If that
Right.
makes sense.
Everyone's so the thing is everyone's trying to figure out what beats the new Bravo, Starvo, Bro Star, whatever you want to call it. Everyone's trying to figure out how to beat those. But I think the deck just beats itself a lot of the time. And both going in with a target on your back and having a deck that sometimes just crumbles to itself is kind of frustrating, especially if you don't start off too well. You get to the point where you're like X1 going into the last round and you just lose to your deck, and it's like the most frustrating thing that could ever happen in an event.
Yeah. It's something else. So
I've got a couple rapid fire questions for you here. They are similar to the ones that I asked to Rick if you listened to that episode of the podcast 2 weeks ago. So I'm just going to fire them at you, and as fast as you can, just hit me with your answers for them.
All right.
What is your favorite weapon?
Favorite weapon? It's got to be Hexagore.
Okay,
Yeah,
interesting.
awesome. Yeah.
Favorite hero?
Levia.
Favorite new Everfest card?
Ooh. I gotta say, I like the Helm of Sharp Eye.
Okay,
I think that card's really cool.
That's a cool one. Yeah, I like that. That. It's got some potential, especially with like these Bolton strategies or these Dorinthia strategies that might not previously play something like that. To just rebuild, restructure, and make it important. Heck yeah, I like that. What's your favorite place you've ever attended a tournament?
Ever attended?
Yeah.
So in the past, I've always really. So this is kind of like a side note or a sidebar kind of complaint, and it's like nothing against SCG or anything like that. But like when they do the Philadelphia at Valley Forge, like I remember going to events like Magic events back in the day at the Philadelphia Convention Center, which is so much better. You got the Reading Terminal Market right there. You can kind of get into the city pretty easily, depending on if you drive or if you want to take like the train. And like the food and just like the space is just so much better. But also, I guess I'm a Jersey boy. I'm pumped that the Pro Tour's in Jersey. So the Meadowlands Expo Center isn't the best, but it's ours.
Probably better than the Valley Forge casino basement. Do we have signal at the Pro Tour spot? Do we have phone signal? How far is that place from you, by the way? How far are you from where the Pro Tour is being held?
So I'm like, I would say 45 to an hour west of there. So I'm on the western side of the state. That's on the eastern side, like right over by Jersey City and Hoboken. So it's not far. I'll probably stay down there for the event, but I know we're gonna have a big group. The Jersey's gonna represent. Pretty stoked that it's in Jersey. I thought it was gonna be in Vegas.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. If I had to put money on it, I would have definitely gone with Vegas because that's where they started with the rerun of Callings, and I thought that's where they were going to go for the Pro Tour. But I'm glad it's closer over here.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what? It's like Jersey gets a bad rap, but I think it just gets a bad rap because New York's right there, and they look down on us or whatever. I don't know.
We kind of went off on this sidebar. I've got a couple more questions here.
Go for it.
What's your favorite card in the game? Not a hero, not a weapon, just favorite card.
Oh man, not a hero or weapon. Jeez, I think I really love Crown of Seeds.
Sure, Crown of Seeds. I like that one. What's your favorite non-equipment card?
Non-equipment card, most satisfying card, I would say. God, jeez, this is actually a really tough question. I gotta think about. Like, I think Endless Maw is kind of fun because it's just beefy with the variants built in. That it's just like a great card in Levia, and I just like that card. So, and I think it's just like the art on it is just absolutely stunning.
It's Levia through
in like
through.
a grotesque way.
Yeah. all of that art in that set was really cool, especially some of that shadow art. It looks sweet.
Oh yeah.
Who's your favorite content creator that is not in this call?
Geez, this one is tough because I'm I'm buddies with a lot of people. I mean, Flake is the best out there. I love his podcast, and he's a good buddy. It's hard for me not to like shout out a bunch of people, but the Spike Feeders guys are amazing. Um, As at Go Again Gaming, he's such a good dude. And Brutap Cast and Capolo, all guys that have been on the podcast, and the Attack Action podcast. I'm going to shout out all the podcasts because, like,
Sure, absolutely.
we've all kind of bonded together, I think, a little bit, and yeah, it's hard to kind of pick one.
Yeah, it's great. There's so many great podcasts out there that are all doing unique things. So like you don't get stale content by watching every podcast. You're going to get something interesting, something unique, these new personalities and great ways of looking at the game. And that's what I love. This community is so great. I'm excited to see it grow and keep growing.
Yeah. No, honestly, it's been this is one of the better communities I've ever kind of like witnessed or been a part of. It's very wholesome, I would say, is actually a good word to put out there.
Love that. Yeah, that's a great word. I love it. I have 2 more questions. These are going to be kind of bigger questions, open-ended, just ready for your interpretation. And the first one is, what is something that you would change about the game, either through the game's structure, through its play patterns, through the card design? What is anything that you would change about the game?
This one's pretty easy to answer. So I'm sitting here looking at an empty Everfest wrapper, right? And Everfest is a cool set and all that, but it's not draftable. I think every set should be draftable. I love draft. I love limited, and I'm actually mentioning it. I think on a someone had posted a Twitter thread today, and I even commented. It's just like we got to be able to draft, because like when we're sitting down at a table against Starvo or some oppressive deck, like even when Cheerios Briar was kind of running rampant, even though towards the end of its life cycle it was less popular. I think limited can be the great equalizer, for a card game, and when like I was drafting Tales of Aria all the time, like that was the most fun I was having with the game ever. I still have a lot of fun with the game, and even I look at something like the Farewell to Wraith drafts that we had like a month ago, which I think was an enormous success. And not only because that was a really cool set and it was a cool way to say goodbye to the set, but it's draft. It's the best way to play, I think, this game easily. And I would like to see that. Like, I know that they like to do these supplemental sets, but I get frustrated that I can't buy a box and save it to like draft with some friends or anything like that.
Sure, and especially with those like Farewell to Wraith events, you're also putting cards in the hands of the players. Like they get to play in these tournaments and do these fun events, and then it also helps people build their collection alongside it. So I agree. I like that. I like the draftable sets. They're really fun.
Absolutely, and you know what? It's a good way to get new players, because like maybe not draft so much, but sealed is a great way to get new players, because it's like as long as they know the game, all they have to do is have 6 packs, crack them, and build the deck, and then they can start jamming with friends. I mean, that is the biggest worry with the game right now, and like new player retention, and I think that's how you keep new players coming back. In my opinion, anyway. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before.
No, I like that, because the game is notoriously a little bit expensive because of having to start with your equipments and stuff. So if you're introducing people with these blitz decks or with draft formats or sealed formats, like the first sanctioned Flesh and Blood event that I played in was a Monarch sealed event. So I'm right with you there. It's very welcoming for new players.
It is.
What do you think is the best about the game, and what is the worst?
The best about the game is the game itself, I think. I think anybody who's played card games, and even people new to card games in general, can once they learn this game, obviously the first kind of steps of learning the rules can be tough, like with any game. But once you get it, it becomes the most satisfying experience I've ever had playing a game. And it's just so well built, the resource system. It just feels like an engine every time you play, And I think that's so important, and it's easily the best thing about the game. I wouldn't have talked 30 plus hours about a game like and put it into the internet if like it wasn't that amazing. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, at one point in my life, playing Magic was my full time career, and
Hmm.
now my day job is working with Magic. And I don't have a Magic podcast. I'm not
Hmm.
running around talking about Magic. I'm here talking about Flesh and Blood because I agree the game is designed great. It helps remove some of that variance that feels bad in most card games, and it's well designed and the community's great. I love it.
Yeah, the community's great, and no shots to Magic, but you look at we both have a podcast, right?
Yeah.
And the product releases are like at 50% of what Wizards is doing with Magic, right? And when you have a lot of product releases, that's easy content, especially for podcasts, right? It's like, oh, we got some spoilers. Oh, we could do a set review. We could do this. We could do that. I found, and that was something I was worried about in between Tales of Aria and Everfest. I found that it's actually still easy to talk about this game in those lulls of no product. Obviously, I would like more product because more product's fun, and whatever. My wallet, hates it, but but and but like I find it is easy to talk about the game because it's so good, and it kind of you know not messes with your mind, but I find myself obsessing over it. So in a good way, I hope, but
I hope.
yeah. But the worst part of the game, I guess, is well, geez, I think it's easy to say that currently in its early stages is still a very young game. We are seeing some balance issues for constructed, which you know it is what it is. It's hard. It's hard when you're a small team. I understand Ellis is a small uh, company, and testing is with like 12 or so guys. I don't know how many or guys and gals, but I don't know how many they're testing with. Um, is nothing compared to thousands and thousands of people testing decks. Like who knows if they even had thought that Starvo was going to be like 80% consistent to reveal, right? Um, so I think the balance right now is tough because I think there are a lot of people frustrated, especially after I mean, 2 days of getting crippling crushed and Okanolded with Dominate is like over a weekend. It could be decimating to your confidence about the game, and the best thing about one of the best things about the game is that you have these heroes that you love and want to play with, and it sucks when it doesn't even feel close to like playable in a meta. So that's the long-winded way of saying what's the worst thing about the game. But like not I'm optimistic that as more of these sets come out, the balance should hopefully even out.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's definitely possible, and it seems like we're already like in a step in the right direction. Like the first very oppressive thing since I've been playing was like obviously Chain, and they
Mm-hmm.
were like, "Hey, we messed up. We're gonna fix this." And then we had like this overarching Briar meta, but like you said earlier, it just started to get a little bit hated out towards the end. And that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't leave you for wide open hero selection, but that gave you more options and more ways to play the game, more ways to deal with things like that. And then with Bravo Star now, I think the reason that it's got so much conversion, like so many top eights that we're hearing about, is because it's what the most people in the room are playing. But
Mm-hmm.
then we've also seen pro quests with like 100 people where 60 of them are on Bravo Star and 2 people top 8 with it,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is also showing for the deck that it's like maybe not the most insane. It's nothing like compared to Chain, still more popular. And so as the meta kind of continues out, we'll see if that stands or if that changes, if there's something that hates it out or what kind of strategies deal with things like that. So
Yeah, I know that there's talk of a errata to Okanold of being Oldham specialization, which it should have been anyway.
It's
If you
literally
just look
got
at the art.
Oldham on it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And like as opposed to chain, right? Uh the I don't think we're gonna see Starvo get less popular. Um because even if it starts to get hated out, it's literally a box of Aria with legendaries. So it's not really that expensive. I mean, if you already have the legendaries for like the regular Bravo or even Oldham, you're like set.
Yeah.
So um it's pretty accessible
Hmm.
for new players, which I guess is like good. That's like a good thing. But like yeah, it just so happens, like you said, but like 60 out of 100 at a
It's
tournament.
yeah, it's a
And yeah,
lot of people showing up. That's
yeah.
the problem.
And two people's top 8 with it, but like you got to think, I mean, how many of those people were doing the mirror um and throughout that tournament with like over 50% of the field. So I don't know. It's hard to say what they're going to do. If anything, honestly, with all these pro quests and then the pro tour and a couple callings and battle hardens, if Starvo keeps performing, we could see our first living legend hero. So
Sure, it'll be
we
interesting
will
for
see.
sure. That's one big thing is I like how LSS handles things. They've been willing to admit that whenever they've made mistakes and take action to fix those things. So yeah, it'll be exciting to see how everything wraps up.
Yeah.
Speaking of wrap up, I think we're at that point in the podcast. Is there anything that you'd like to plug for the content that you make?
Yeah. Just you can follow me on Twitter. I'm pretty active on there at FreshBudsPod. And then the podcast is Fresh and Buds. You can find it on all the audio platforms, Spotify, yada yada yada, and it's on YouTube as well. Usually as audio. I don't do a lot of video for the podcast unless it's a set review, but I also do some other YouTube stuff as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And I guess if anybody is looking for a cool community that's can be both competitive and casual and like accepting, the Discord for the show, you can find on my Twitter bio, and we're all it's a good hang over there. So yeah,
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you taking some time to be over here on the podcast.
yeah. Thank you for having me. This was great.
Absolutely. Oh, hey, checking out? Awesome. That's going to be due back next Thursday. I'll see you there.